Hello and welcome to this Airfield briefing video for Flyer Club members and their free landing vouchers. I'm going to be speaking shortly to David Young, who looks after Llanbedr Airfield on the western coast of Wales. It's in a gorgeous location, great big runway, former military airfield, and there's a lot of really exciting stuff that's going to be happening there in the future. So we'll talk to David and find out a bit more. Hello, David.
Hello, Johnny. How are you?
I'm very well. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Obviously.
Well, I'm afraid I've got a fairly sort of rock star look about me because of COVID. I've not managed to have my hair cut or anything. So
It's yeah, that's one of the things at the moment. I did my own on the weekend.
oh, well done. It doesn't look too bad.
Thank you. Yeah, how are you?
I'm all right. I just phoned Steve Evans, who runs the Snowdonia Flight School, just to find out if he but he didn't answer. Just to find out what the situation is about flying there, because I think I heard on the news this morning that you can travel anywhere in Wales now, but not cross the border. So I'm kind of assuming at the moment that that may well mean that, in theory, we shouldn't yet be opening for people to fly in, or indeed fly out from Llanbedr to anywhere else at the moment until a couple of weeks' time.
Yes, yeah, it's a bit of a confusing situation still. So
Yeah.
yeah, yes. Anyway, so I thought if we could just kick off really with you, just explaining a bit about Llanbedr. A bit about the history. It's located in quite a unique part of the world. So just tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, no, sure. Well, I mean, I got involved way back 2004 when it came on the market. It was being operated by Kinetic. It had quite a history of operating drones way back from the 1950s, Meteor and Firefly, and then the Llanbedr was the sort of the most used drone. There were 7,000 sorties from the 1960s right up to 2004 of these unmanned drones. But it came on the market, and myself and some colleagues got interested. And cut a long story short, we did eventually buy it. There were some planning issues initially, and there were some delays, but eventually we got through those. We got an unfettered planning permission to fly drones from the airfield. And a permission, in fact, to use it for maintenance and MRO type work, but we haven't actually got a planning permission for anything else at the moment. So it is obviously an ideal location to have airspace to fly novel aircraft systems, drones, new electric aircraft. It's brilliant for air display as well. We're hoping to get our long-term sort of air display exemption back, so people could do aerobatics practice there. We're working on that. So commercially, that's really where it's going. And of course, there's the opportunity in space and spaceport, horizontal spacecraft launch connecting up with Danger Area 201, where it is possible to do suborbital flights. It would also be possible potentially to be a launch point for aircraft with rockets on their back to go off places and launch from other places. So that's all very interesting and exciting, but it's been a long, slow burn. We've got the flying school there, Steve Evans with Snowdonia Flight School. We've hopefully got a skydiving opportunity developing this year with a company starting to do some skydiving experiences. Hopefully, we've just signed a contract, so hopefully somebody's going to be building a new cafe fairly shortly. So we're going to be building a cafe that's linked to the admin building on site, which is landside, and that's going to be a sort of external wooden structure, so very open air. But that would be great for visiting pilots again, and then the kitchen will be inside the admin building. So that's coming along. We're hoping to get flying, soon after the glorious 12th a new turn on the glorious 12th when we all start flying again. But we'll see. Currently, the public safety rules in Wales are not allowing us to cross the border, I think. So if we can't travel across the border, we can't really open the airfield up for pilots from England and Scotland and Ireland. But that will probably change in the next 2 weeks, we believe. So once it all starts to kick off, we'll hopefully get our very frustrated FISO back in the town and working, who's been furloughed for a long time. So we hope to kick that off. We got, I don't know if people know, but we, Snowdonia Aerospace independently got a air navigation service provider approval last March to run a FISO service. And so we're in what's called Greenfield at the moment. So the FISOs have to get a bit more experience and get signed off for that. We just had our CEA audit, which is a little bit strange this year because, of course, there's been so little going on the last year. But we got through that, and hopefully we will have some interesting work to do in relation to the airspace management if we get a favourable decision on our danger area application, and the decision on that is expected on the 7th of June. So that's not far away. Had great support from the GA community. I think most people in relation to Llanbedr realise that in order to keep the airfield open, it's got to be commercially viable, and we can't. These big airfields, it's 563 acres. You know, these huge airfields and infrastructure, they can't be kept going on a few aeroplanes popping in and out and using a cafe. It doesn't work. We have to have a commercial basis for that to make the whole thing work and keep it open as an airfield for everybody else. So that's the big thing, is that if we can do our commercial stuff there with drones, get a website going, get a better PPR system in place for people who are flying that coastal route. Great input from stakeholders. So we modified our airspace design to try and preserve a coastal route at pretty much all times. You know, depending which bit of airspace is being used, you could either fly the inland route or a little bit out to sea to avoid the airspace which is NOTAMed active. So I think it's all going to, it's very exciting, and it's going to, hopefully work very well. We've got some projects coming along. We're hopefully going to have a 14-15 meter long airship flying there in May, June, on BVLOS as an experimental thing. We've got some drone projects. We've got our own drone project. So we're currently designing and building a twin-engine drone, which is going to be used for some work that's been funded by the Future Flight Fund. So that's going to be sorry, my computer's pinging off with messages. So that's going to be hopefully providing a sort of 5G link network in the sky to support mountain rescue teams. So and also we hope to be taking a little bit further the project we started last year when we dropped a defibrillator from a drone on a beach near Barmouth as an experiment to sort of show how drones can be used to maybe distribute emergency medical supplies, faster than an ambulance can trundle around the mountain roads around Snowdonia. So we've got lots of interesting things afoot, and we've got a few other things going on. We've got a couple of little small car events, and so it's going to be good to get going again, really.
Yeah, I can imagine. So with all this a myriad of different things going on, why, obviously the physical location helps, but why, in terms of the airfield infrastructure, is it such a good place for things like drones and things like airships and all of that kind of thing? Just talk us through the physical runway and the setup of the airfield.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a big site, 563 acres. It's on a coastal promontory, so when you go take off from the main runway or the secondary runway, you're basically heading straight out over the sea. In fact, if you take off from the short runway to the west, runway 23, you're heading straight out over the dunes and over the sea. It's actually very quiet. I mean, if you look at the sort of NATS picture they have on their site of the air traffic around the UK, there's quite a hole in that area, Cardigan Bay area, where nothing appears to be going on because not a lot does go on. I mean, the reality is last year, well, actually last year's a bad example, but I think the year before that, we only had 1,000 movements in the entire year.
Wow.
So that's not an awful lot of activity. Now, I know there's Carnarvon nearby, and not everybody that flies up the coast drops in to see us, but at the same time, for the VFR pilots, recreational pilots that are flying, they've got to get over the mountains to get to Llanbedr. And, mountains have a lot of cloud associated with that. And so pilots have to be careful when they choose to come to us and so on. And, but when you can get there, it's absolutely glorious. We'll try and host as much as we can. We've had the Round Britain Rally there in previous years. I'm sure they'll come again as soon as that's operating. But I mean, it's wonderful scenery, and of course, the wind's predominantly southwesterly. So yes, it might be raining on all the people up in the mountains, mountaineering and stuff. But that's because the air's been pushed up the mountains. So Llanbedr Aerodrome, the weather is always glorious. So we hope, we like to think. So, but no, we have been lucky. We have been lucky. So. And I think a lot of the drone operators will actually fly quite probably early in the morning and late in the evening to take advantage of wind gradients. Certainly the guys operating smaller things. So hopefully there's plenty of time for GA people to get involved and.
So are there any integration issues in terms of drones and GA? Would it be set times or? Well,
it's very much segregated airspace initially. That's what they need to fly in. So we'll be providing a danger area activity information service, but not a crossing service. So be set times. Will be obviously minimal times. We will try and NOTAM the periods that we need to use it. As far as working as closely as we can with the operators, so it's not NOTAM'd unnecessarily. We have our own AFPEX system, so we should be able to get permission to be able to cancel our own NOTAMs as well. So if for technical reasons a drone can't fly anymore that day, we can cancel the NOTAM straight away. And the flight information officer will be there to give information. So I mean, ordinarily the flight information officer cannot technically just proffer information, but if any pilot is passing by and they ask, can you tell me where the drone is or whatever, then the FISO can provide more information about what's going on. But we're going to be using ADSB. We're hoping to be one of the first in the country to have a flight information display system approved in the control tower. We believe that the CAP document in relation to flight information display systems should be coming out in April, we hope. But then, of course, we've got to look at training the FISOs, getting the equipment in, and but it's relatively non-complex, and doing training and getting an approval. But the flight information display, which is like a pseudo radar, will help the FISO give more accurate information, certainly about anything that we are flying within the danger area, where it is and what it's doing. And then if the pilot wants to choose to fly appropriately in relation to sensible separation from that, that's up to them. Danger area isn't an absolute exclusion zone like a restricted area, but the pilots shouldn't really fly in a NOTAM danger area. So unmanned traffic management is something that's of tremendous interest to us. We've got some good links with phone companies and some of the radio people doing stuff with clever stuff with technical equipment like UAvionics and Altitude Angel and so on. We're talking to some of these companies about interesting stuff for the future. So good.
Yeah, so if people do come and visit, what is there to do? Is it mainly people just coming to see the airfield and experience flying in there, or can you easily get out and about? And is there much to do in the area?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a bicycle shop in the village that hires bicycles. There's there are a few taxis about in Wales. There's some hotels in the 3 hotels in the village, which is only a 15-minute walk. And of course, there's Royal St David's golf course just up the road at Harlock. So we do occasionally have people come in with golf clubs in the back and arrive early in the morning and go off golfing and then disappear in the evening, or they can stay overnight. We can provide hangarage. Particularly if it's windy or wet or whatever. It's a bit of a walk to the beach. You can't, unfortunately, just go off the west side of the airfield and walk straight out to the beach. It's a sort of out and around, so it's not easy or quick to get to the beach. But yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things going on in Wales. It depends how long people want to stay up there. That it's supposed to be the adventure sport capital of Europe, isn't it? I think North Wales now, Snowdonia. So, and hopefully our parachuting activities, skydiving in Snowdonia, which would be pretty amazing, I would have thought, will add to that reputation for the good stuff going on in Wales. So. Yeah. So watch this space.
Yes, the runway itself. Just talk us through the length of the main runway.
So we got roughly speaking, it's 2,000 meters.
Right.
The main runway 1735. Then the other runway that's sort of tarmac finish. It's all very good condition. The second runway is 1533, which is also that's a marsh asphalt, that groove marsh asphalt. That's in very good condition. That's a bit shorter. It's about it's going to be about 1,500 meters, I think. It's in Poolies. If I can plug Poolies, or the AFE flight guide, the details are in there. And then there's the other runway, the runway in 0223. That's quite useful for microlights and small light aircraft if it's a bit blowy, especially if it's blowy from the east. We do suffer a bit from turbulence because of the mountains nearby. If you've got a wind from the northeast through to the southeast, so it can be quite useful to hop onto that. We've got a big debate going on at the moment about exactly what lengths the runways are going to be when we license the airfield, because that's the next move. Is later this year we're going to be picking up, licensing the aerodrome. Again, we don't actually need it licensed immediately, but we do need to get it licensed if we're going to aspire to be a spaceport, because that's a prerequisite that you've got to be licensed. So, so we're having a bit of a rethink at the moment about the aerodrome boundaries and the runway lengths, and what areas should be licensed. So that work will carry on through this summer, and maybe get some paint down and some new hold point designators, and then of course we've got to get a RFFS crew sorted out. So but hopefully if we start to get some business in, then we might be able to move forward that and create some jobs, and
Yeah, great. So what sort of amenities have you got? Do you have fuel? Do you have engineering?
On the fuel, we got self-service avgas and Jet A1. It's open pretty much 24 hours. It's not locked up. It's all checks are done every day. There's a notice in the window giving the date that confirming that the date that the water checks and sampling's been done and so on. Sometimes we have search and rescue. Sometimes we'll come in at night, or the police helicopter, so they can do that. So that service is quite useful. So the jet tank is F-34 at the moment, because we do get visiting military helicopters. Had a couple of Chinooks in recently, and they have to operate really with F-34 if they're going to be above several thousand feet because of the freezing levels. So. The avgas tank, that's about a 25,000 litre avgas tank, all self-service, and Yeah, we're a little bit remote up there, so we do get hit a little bit on what we have to pay for the fuel in terms of transport costs and so on. But hopefully we can keep better pace with it this year. We got caught out badly last year with having stocked fuel when it was a very high price, and then got caught out with having expensive fuel. But anyway, it swings and roundabouts. So yeah, but hopefully this cafe will get going, and that'll literally only be a sort of 5-minute walk from the apron area. So
brilliant.
That's what most pilots like, is to be able to use the loo and get something to eat and get on again. So that will be in place. So.
Yeah. Do you have many based aircraft there?
Oh gosh, it's about 10 now, I think. You have to excuse me if I'm a bit vague, because of course I'm still based down in Gloucestershire. So I'm actually at Cotswold Airport, where I run Kemble Flying Club, and so I'm looking forward to getting back to flying instruction again on the 12th of April. But we got some good guys up in North Wales, and I get up there when I can. So yeah, but I think we've got about 10 aircraft there. Yeah.
Brilliant. So what would be your message to people to encourage them to come and visit Llanbedr?
Well, I mean, the scenery is the most amazing thing. I mean, I've had some great, fabulous flights up there. I nearly got caught out once trying to get to a meeting in a microlight, and there was a huge cloud banks from Barmouth onwards to going north, and there was that temptation to think, I'll just pop over the top and it's bound to clear by the sea, and I decided I decided to divert to Welshpool, and then in fact the cloud opened up and I could see exactly where I was near Cadair Idris, and I was able to descend VFR and then fly low level round to Llanbedr. But yeah, I mean, the scenery is fantastic. A couple of times I've had to come back because of weather. I've had to go north to Carnarvon and then up the Menai Straits, and then round the north coast of Wales, and then down past Shawbury and down that route through where you've got the lower ground levels coming through the Midlands there. So I've had to do that a couple of times, but all very, very, very enjoyable flying, and yeah, no, it's wonderful. I've flown in some big mountains in my time.
Yes, you have, haven't you?
Including the Himalayas.
Just remind us what the biggest was.
Well, was that the one I flew into? Yeah. So I did have an accident with Ahmad Alam at about 15,000 feet in the Himalaya in 1986. Yeah, it's not a good place to go flying, the Himalayas, really, in a microlight. So we were pushing the boundaries, and I got, in a long story short, got caught out in sinking air, really, and had a nasty accident, but recovered from that. So, but flying in Wales, it's just so beautiful. I mean, the Himalayas was unbelievably spectacular. But I think I get as much kick as out of flying over North Wales there in the mountains. Beautiful scenery, yeah. So come and see it, but check the weather carefully. We are hoping later this year to install our own Met equipment so we can do METARs.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm not quite sure what the process is for getting the Met Office to issue TAFs, but anyway, we're going to have some upgraded new Met equipment at the airfield. So hopefully that should help, and hopefully as we get busier and the FISO can do more hours and stuff like that, we'll have better information for pilots as well. So yeah, so exciting stuff.
Brilliant. No, it sounds really interesting. I mean, it could be an airfield where you can pitch up, have a panini and a coffee, and watch a rocket launch perhaps in the future.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and we're very, we like to think we're very welcoming. If people want to camp, that's fine. I'm very much from a microlighting background. I'm very much from a not got the money to stay in 5-star hotels or anything. So yeah, I mean, there's a campsite nearby, but if people want to bring a tent and camp and put a tent up by their aircraft, that's absolutely fine. Just go ask. And
that's good. Yeah, lots of places are admittedly not up for that sort of thing, but to know that you are is great.
Yeah, and I think we've got to be a bit careful with COVID and what the toilet facilities are and all that sort of thing. So there's, I think once the hospitality opens up, so that we know that there'll be a toilet in the admin building anyway that we're going to have to keep, cleaned and available to people using the cafe. But once the hospitality thing opens up again, so people can get into the town for whatever, a beer and something, that's fine. But yeah, we're pleased to see anyone at all. Yeah,
brilliant, great. Right, well, I think that wraps everything up. Thank you for your time. If you've got any photos actually that you could send across to me, that would be great, and I can stick them in the video.
Yeah, sure.
That'd be great.
I'll see what we can do, Johnny. That's fine. Very nice to talk to you.
Yes, likewise. May well see you soon, but
yeah. Okay. All right, Johnny. Well, thanks very much.
All the best. Take care.
Have a great weekend. Yeah. Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Cheers.
Well, I hope you found that interesting. It sounds like Llanbedr has a really interesting and varied future ahead of it, with rockets and drones, as well as a new cafe. So if you are wanting to go and visit Llanbedr, just make use of your free landing voucher if you are a Flyer Club member. If you aren't, then just head to flyer.co.uk and look for the Flyer Club tab at the top of the page, and you can join there. And it's currently just £7.50 per quarter. So if you start making use of these free landing vouchers, it will pay for itself in no time at all. We'll be back again soon with another Airfield briefing video. So until then, goodbye.